Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Karmic Leader webinar. I'm very excited for you to be here and to learn a little bit more about what it means to be a balanced and aligned leader. So you are in the right place if you are a leader who's feeling a little stressed and overwhelmed. You think maybe some people on your team might be on the verge of burnout and you want to figure out how to help them. Or you've been assigned a significant amount of work and you're not sure how to handle and juggle all of it. Or you just feel like you're in a high pressure job and you want some better coping tools to help you be successful. So together, we're going to learn how to gauge your current levels of stress, how to understand the impact of stress on your teams, how to spot signs of burnout early enough that you can actually do something about it, and some techniques for you to become more balanced, aligned in your own leadership journey. So this training is not for you if you're not open to new techniques. So if you're closed-minded, this is not the place for you. If you think you have it all figured out, this is also probably not the place for you. And I also really need you to be honest with yourself. Be willing to ask yourself the hard questions so that you can see, where you have areas where you can improve. And then also don't get upset or offended if at the end of this awesome free webinar, I give you some additional offers for you to consider. So I encourage you to stay till the very end because you're going to get some bonus resources that are awesome. And I really want you to stay till the very end to get that. So I wanted to start by just telling you my own story. And it really came from me spending about 25 years in corporate America, climbing the corporate ladder from an independent contributor to a manager, to a director, to a VP, to an executive in a company. And throughout that climbing the corporate ladder journey, I decided to start a family with my husband, and we have an amazing 9-year-old daughter. But she was younger, and I was burning the candle at both ends, probably working 70, 80 hours a week, trying to be a good mama, trying to be a good wife. And it was just all a lot. I traveled a lot for my job. And I distinctly remember it being a weekend trying to fly back from the West Coast to Nebraska, where I live. And I was going through the Denver airport because nothing goes to direct in Nebraska. And I missed my connecting flight. I ran through the airport. Let me tell you, I was dripping in sweat. I was a hot mess and I missed my connection. And I just collapsed to the floor at that Denver International Airport to my knees. And I just cried. I just sobbed. And I thought, God, this is not all that it was cracked up to be. I'm feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and I'm questioning if all of this is worth it. I had no idea how to balance my life, how to show up well for myself and my family, and I was exhausted. I really was. And I didn't know what had to change, but I did know something had to change. So that's exactly what I did. I spent 5 to 10 years, of deeply trying to understand myself, my purpose in this world, how I show up for myself, my team, my family, the people I love and care about. And I was on a quest. And let me tell you, I tried everything from the things that I would call very woo-woo to the most practical leadership tools on the planet. I really tried to figure out what I could do to show up well for myself and the people around me. And through that process, at the end of that experience, what I really learned how to do was to set daily practices for myself that allowed me to show up well every single day, get my best self every single day. Ways to reduce stress and anxiety when I was feeling really overwhelmed. It seems to just kind of bubble up in the most inopportune times. And you have to learn how to handle that and what to do about it. And I also learned how to show up for a happier, more joyful time with my family. And, that went from my daughter, saying, Mama, do you want to play a game? And me being like, oh, go play with your friends. No, I don't. I just want to hop on my phone and surf the internet and escape my life because I'm feeling overwhelmed. To saying, I want to show up. I want to show up well for her. I want to show up well for my husband. I really want to be present in the life that I'm leading. And that really changed for me when I decided to lead from a place of authenticity and a place of love for myself and others. And a whole lot of cool things that I learned along the way. I'm going to teach you a few of them today. So I want you to keep in mind, it's really important that we set some framework for you so that you can really show up well in this training and take in everything that you can. So the first thing I want to tell you is to get out of your own way. Oftentimes we are our own worst enemy. I also encourage you to take small actions. Even the smallest of actions can make a significant difference in your life. And also, perfection is your enemy. So don't try to be perfect. Just try to do a little bit better, and you'll just feel the impact of that little bit better. And the image I use to describe this is a tree. So when you cut down a tree and you see all of the rings of that tree grew slow and steady. Sometimes those rings are really far apart, and sometimes they're real tight, meaning some years I grew more than other years. But I just decided I was going to grow. Slow and steady wins the race. And I think that that's true in our own personal development and in our leadership as well. Just try to get a little bit better and grow a little bit more every single day, every single month, every single year. And you'll look back on your life and feel really proud of that growth and that development. So I'm going to start by just setting a little bit of a baseline. So what is karmic leadership? It is, how I define it, as how a leader finds the right amount of balance between giving and receiving. So giving the job and the company and the people everything you got, and your team giving you everything they have. And are you doing that in a balanced and aligned way that feels good for both parties? That's really the magic, when you can find balance in those things in a way that isn't depleting you or your team. So that really resulted in me developing what I call the 5-step karmic leader method. We're going to do a little teaser into each one of these these modules of this method. So the first is get a baseline, which is all about understanding your own current stress levels and how you're showing up. Then setting a stage is about what you do each day to give you the best shot at your best day. And then building your toolkit are things that you can do from time to time as stress arises, or ways to enhance the way you show up for your team. So different resources available to you as a leader. And then lead with love is a module all about exactly what it says: authenticity, space for uniqueness, strength-based leadership, all of those kinds of principles. And then the last module is about telling yourself the truth. How do you wrap this all together and understand, are you really truly giving yourself that honest look at how you're doing and how you're showing up, or are you masking and covering it in busyness? So how do we use tools to help us know if we're listening to our authentic voice? So the first one is get a baseline. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and then we're going to do a couple exercises. So I want to know, how are you doing? Are you stressed out right now? Are you carrying anxiety in your body? Is toxic energy showing up all around you? For example, do you feel like everyone's complaining everywhere around you? If so, you might be attracting that kind of energy to your sphere and to you. Are you feeling exhausted? Are you coming home going, I just want to lay down, watch Netflix, scroll Instagram, and escape my life? Or are you like, okay, I came home and now I'm ready to show up well for my family, and I feel great about my contributions and how I'm showing up in the world? And another thing to think about in this space is, are you losing your cool with others? So just ask yourself these questions. In general, how would you rate yourself on these things? And one of the cool ways that you can do is something I call a 10-circle stress test. And we're going to do that next. So this is all about, how stressed are you? And what I'd like you to do is rate yourself on each of these 4 modules. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your morning routine in terms of, is it stressful, or is it like, oh my gosh, I've nailed this morning routine, 10 out of 10. I start my day refreshed and ready to go. If it's a 1, it might be like, oh man, I hit the snooze 4 times. The kids' lunches were sitting on the counter and we totally forgot. And I spilled my coffee all over myself. And the kids were supposed to have a field trip and I forgot the slip. And now I have to go home because I can't get it. And then they put a new meeting on my calendar and I didn't see it. So now I'm 10 minutes late to that. And my morning is frazzled. or a 10 out of 10, where you're like, I do the exact same thing. I love it. I show up perfectly. I crush it in the morning. Then the second one I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 is your sleep. How are you doing? Do you feel like you're rested? Do you feel like you get enough sleep? Do you have a structured and consistent sleep pattern? Now, if you're a new mama or a new papa or a new parent in any way, shape, or form, you get a pass on this entire section because there is no way to get good sleep when you have infants in the house. So give yourself a hall pass, if you will. Then I want to know, what is your natural response to stress? Your boss says, we have to do this and we have to do it by Friday. Do you deplete yourself? Do you feel overwhelmed? A customer or client screams and shouts at you. I mean, how do you handle the chaos of life and the stresses of life? Do you feel like you have a good approach and you have a good resources to know how to calmly work through that? Or do you feel like you get really overwhelmed by those kinds of experiences? So again, rate yourself 1 to 10. Then the last one is quality time with the ones that you love. Do you feel like you get to spend quality time with the people you care about? I'm not talking quantity, I'm talking quality. And that can mean anything to any different person. Quality time might be like, you know what, no matter what, we have a family dinner. And after that, free for all. Or no matter what, quality time for me is 15 minutes at the end of the day to tuck my kid into bed, chat with them, and read them a book. Or maybe quality time is on Saturdays, we go to the park. Or maybe quality time is I do a Wednesday date night. Or maybe you're single and your quality time is that you do things that fill your bucket instead of numb you, if you will. Things like I go for a walk, I get out in nature, I write poetry, I play basketball, I do things that fill me up versus, things that numb me out, like shopping, alcohol, television, all those kinds of things. So rate your quality time with the ones that you love or with yourself. And then what I want you to think about is think of this like a tire. So if they're all ones, you've got a tiny little tire and it won't take you very far. So you're balanced, but you're tiny. And then think about coloring in each of these 10 circles. So maybe your morning routine is an 8, but your sleep is a 2. And your natural response to stress is a 3, but your quality time is a 10. And you have a very lopsided tire. So this will tell you, where do I need to focus some energy to bring this tire into balance? So I'm not asking you to do less of something that really helps you de-stress your life, but how do you expand in the areas that are very, very hard so that you can try to round out that tire and make it more circular? So this is a simple and easy way for you just to do a quick stress test. How am I doing? How am I doing in these 4 quadrants? These are the 4 that I think are the most meaningful and that have helped me the most, but your 4 might look different. So if you think one of these isn't the right fit for you, swap it out for something else that you feel like more authentically connects with you. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is ways to decrease stress. So the first is sounding a little weird. It's called a tongue test. So what I would like you to do is release the stress in your jaw and relax your tongue completely. And you'll think, how the heck do I carry so much stress in my tongue? But you do. So what I want you to do is release the stress in your tongue, let it go, and see what happens with the rest of your body. For me, when I release that tension in my tongue, my shoulders drop, my body just calms down and relaxes a little, and I'm not so tight here. I kind of loosen down a little. So you'll notice if you're feeling a lot of stress, just do a quick tongue test. How much stress is in my tongue, and can I loosen it a little? And does it loosen the rest of my body? The next is something I call the 5-5-5 breathing technique. So what this does is allows you to use some deep breaths to release stress. So you're going to go in for 5, hold for 5, out for 5. And you're going to do this for 1 minute. I am telling you, 1 minute of deep breathing can take all that stress or a good amount of that stress away from you and give you a clear head to make a decision. So this is really useful if the kids are screaming and you're like, I'm about ready to scream back at you, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to give myself 1 minute, a 1 minute timeout, and I'm going to breathe. I'm going to figure it out. Your boss snaps at you, just lets loose, and you're like, whoa, what's wrong with them today? And then you let it go. Did I do something wrong? And da 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 da. And we go on and on and on, trying to create all these narratives of understanding why. Just take a minute and breathe. So we're going to do one set of it together. And then I want you just to do it with me. Okay. So close your eyes if you feel comfortable. And we're just going to breathe in and out for a few times. So in, hold, out. In, hold, out. In, hold, out. In, hold, out. Do you feel any better? I hope that you do. I hope that these two simple things can help you de-stress your day when you're feeling really overwhelmed. So think about that idea, get a baseline. There's a whole lot more that we can do in this space, but I wanted to just do a little teaser to help you learn what get a baseline is all about in that 5-step Karmic Leader method. Okay, the second one is called setting the stage. So this is all about how do you make sure you're giving yourself the best shot every day to show up well, to show up as your very best. One of the things that can help you do that is your morning routine. Now, I'm not asking you to have a 60-minute, perfect, well-rounded morning routine. Life does not allow us to do that very often. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just to take somewhere between 2 to 5 minutes to invest in yourself. Give yourself 5 minutes to shut off the noise, to shut off the chaos, and start your day with the most calming energy you can. For me, my morning routine consists of a handful of things. I do the 5-5-5 breathing technique because it feels really good. I do a 2 to 3 minutes of stretching, and it's really just some yoga stretching to loosen my body. Now, if I can work out in the morning, even better, but I want to at least do a little bit of this stretching every morning. I do a few affirmations, I'm not talking a lot, just a couple things that I want to say. We'll talk about what an affirmation is. You can also just do 2 to 3 pieces of gratitude. So if that works better for you, do that. I am thankful for the sun coming up today. I'm thankful for the heat releasing and have it not be so hot today. I'm thankful my kids slept in. I'm thankful the grocery shopping is done. I'm thankful for the neighbor who sent me a really sweet text yesterday, things like that. And then I do something called a ground and protect exercise. And I allow myself to, when possible, stick my feet in the grass, and I pull up Mother Earth energy into each of my 7 chakras. Again, if this is too woo-woo for you, then I'm going to give you something a little simpler and easier, but this is what I do, and I love it. So I pull up that Mother Earth grounding energy, that protecting energy, and I say, to clear out any bad energy, anything that's lingered and stuck with me, bad feelings, emotions, energy, anything that's not for my highest and best good. And I just pull it through each of those 7 chakras, and I ground myself. And I then say, I'm just going to surround myself with white protective light and let no bad energy get into my sphere of influence today. I'm going to give myself the best shot to have a great day. So that is what I do for my morning routine. I encourage you to pause this, stop, reflect, and think about what you could do with just a couple of minutes in your morning. Again, I'm not asking you for the world. I'm asking you to take 2 to 3 minutes, 5 minutes if you can, and invest in yourself to start your day. I also think a little bit of this is some burnout indicators for what's happening in our cultures across the world right now. There's a recent LinkedIn survey that said 61% of people are considering quitting their jobs. I will say my husband 2.5 years ago was one of those people. He came home and said, We were laying in bed, the lights were off, it was dark, and he had his little courageous conversation. And he said, "Babe, I think I'm done." I thought, oh crap. What exactly are you done with? Are you done with me? Are you done with life? What exactly are you done with? And I just gave him a little more space and a little more time. And he said, "I am done working the job that I am. I'm burnt out. It's not fun anymore. I've been doing it for way too long and I just can't do it anymore." I thought, okay, we can live with that. And for a few years, he was a stay-at-home dad, worked for a nonprofit, recharged his battery, and recommitted himself back to finding things that brought him joy. I don't want that for you. I don't want you to have to quit your job to be able to release some of those stress indicators and burnout potential. I really want you to be able to handle it in a way that allows you to still keep your job and show up well. Now, if that job is completely toxic, it may not be the right job for you, but I am telling you, if either you or someone close to you is probably considering quitting their job at this exact moment. If that's you, I want you to really dig deep and try to figure out where that's coming from, what you can solve, and if that culture is the right place for you. But if it's not you, it might be someone on your team. So how do you know? Because boy, are they good at smiling on the inside while they're dying, smiling on the outside while they're dying slowly on the inside. And I don't want that. I don't want that for anyone that's on your team. So here's a couple data points that happen to show if you're likely to be, someone on your team is likely to be moving in the burnout category or could potentially burn out soon. Do you have somebody that has their bank of vacation completely full, where they can't bank any more time, they don't take vacations, they're just completely committed to working all the time? If that's the case, there are a few magic unicorns that just don't need vacation, and that's just the world they live in. But most of us do need a little bit of a break and a little bit of a recharge. So that's one indicator. So look at your bank of vacation vaults on your team. If they don't use any of their vacation, you should ask them why. And maybe even encourage them to take a staycation where they take a week off from work just to enjoy time, doing whatever it is they want to do. The other is the inability to disconnect. So no matter what, they feel like they have to reply to every email. They have to be the last one to say, yep, of course, on every single email thread. When they're on vacation, they can't shut it off. They go and work and reply to emails and do all of this stuff all the time. And at first you think, oh my gosh, this is amazing. What a top performer. They're just crushing it. But what happens is all of that activity compounds on top of itself. And after a while, they're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just too stressed. I'm over it. And they usually go to a different job, then get really excited to start a new job. And then 2 or 3 years later, they leave that one too, because they've never gotten to the root of the issue, which is, why do I feel this obsessive compulsiveness to work all of the time? And that compounds inside of me. So how do I fix that or work on that? Those are just a couple tips I have for you. The next one is building your toolkit. In the 5-step Karmic Leader method, I have all sorts of cool things that help you to learn how to build your toolkit. We're going to start with just one of the many in this module. So this is all about, one example is all about affirmation. So we talked about it earlier in our morning routine, but I wanted to give you some examples. If you're like, what is an affirmation? It's stating something out into the world as if it has already happened. If you do not believe it in your heart, it will not work. You can't say, I want to manifest $5 million, but I will never be able to get out of debt. So if your inner knowing says that it isn't true, it won't work. Okay. So it has to be something that's authentic. So I'm going to give you some examples. I am in flow with my team. Now, that doesn't mean your team is in flow perfectly, but it does mean you believe it is possible. I am leading from a place of compassion. So maybe you're feeling like you're getting a little edgy and short with your team and you don't want to show up that way anymore. So you're going to just start by saying, I am leading from a place of compassion. I forgive myself for not showing up as my best self. So when you make mistakes, gosh, that stinks. I am harder on myself than anyone could ever be on me. And you have to let it go. You have to forgive yourself and you have to, right your wrongs, but forgive yourself. I am peaceful, calm, and centered. Maybe that's the affirmation that's best for you. Or I am willing and open to change. So maybe you don't know what you need to change, but you know something has to change. And so you want to at least say, I am open to it. So I'm going to tell the universe, I'm going to tell the world, I am open to something. I am open to forgiving. I am open to learning how to show compassion. That idea that you're open to the idea of it so that you can at least have that be an authentic statement. So I encourage you to think about 2 or 3 affirmations that feel real and true and authentic for you, and then follow those affirmations. The next is leading from a place of love. So how do you do that? This module of the 5-step Karmic Leader method has really fun pieces of data on how to do one-on-ones with teams, how to lead teams through significant times of change, how to right wrongs when things don't go your way or someone else's way. So how to handle conflict in a healthy and compassionate way, how to lead from a place of strength and understanding the strengths of your team. So that's what I want to spend a little bit of time on. My guess is your company probably has some form of assessment, some form of tool that helps you understand the strengths of your people. If not, there's a lot of cool ones out there, whether you're into Enneagrams or Myers-Briggs or Gallup Strengths or any of the ones that are out there, you at least can, do something along those lines that you can see what people's strengths are. So the first question I will ask is, do you know the talents of your team? So talents are those natural abilities that are inside of us, things that allow us to just do it effortlessly and in flow. So it might be building relationships, it might be details, it might be positivity, it might be handling conflict. There's all sorts of different talents or strengths that each person on your team brings to the table. And do you even know what those strengths are? Inside of this Karmic Leader program, we use a company called Sigma, and they have a natural leader potential assessment as well as a derailer assessment. And I think those are also fantastic. So if you need another resource, that's another great one for you. So are your people aligned to the right roles to be able to use their talents? Or are you trying to put round pegs in square holes, or square pegs in round holes, I guess I should say? Or do you feel like you really do think about sculpting out jobs that allow people to live in their lane of strength? Also, do you understand the whole person? Do you understand everything that's going on with them? Now, you don't have to know all the details, but you do need to know not just the work person, but their whole self. So who are they? What do they care about? What are their hobbies, interests, passions? What are some personal and professional goals they're working on? How do you reward and recognize them when they achieve those goals? Do you give everybody a coffee mug at Christmas, even the people that don't drink coffee? Or do you think about the uniqueness that each person brings, and you think about their whole self and how to recognize and help them be their very best based on the uniqueness that they bring to the table? And then the last thing I want you just to really ponder and think about is, are you creating a safe environment for people to show up as their authentic selves? So for example, do you have a team that's really open and free and they share everything? And maybe you have somebody that's a little quiet and more conservative and they don't feel so comfortable being in that space. When you're saying, everybody tell me, what did you do this weekend? And one person never wants to do that. Are you creating a safe environment for them? Or are you asking people to live in a space that doesn't feel good for them? Are you publicly recognizing somebody who's a very private person? Or are you privately recognizing somebody who would much rather appreciate the public praise? Are you creating space for people to be their authentic selves? I do have an example of this. I had somebody on my team that was, I would say, socially very conservative, and my team collectively was probably more on the socially liberal side of things. And over lunch and, scrolling Instagram and all those things, conversations would come up. And this person was like, oh, I never say anything because I don't fit in with this team. So I just don't say anything. Or is there a space for everybody, regardless if you think or believe in different ways? Like, how do you create space for people to be their authentic selves? So I encourage you to think about that. Okay, the last one is called Tell Yourself the Truth. This is my favorite module in the program. It is so fun to do some science-backed techniques that allow you to tap into your inner knowing. So we don't have time to do those today because they take quite a long time to teach you and practice them and work on them. But I do want to give you a little teaser into that. So there are questions that you can ask yourself to at least sit with and feel what you're going to feel and see how authentic they are. So, what, for example, are you giving too much? Just ask yourself the question and sit in silence and just see what naturally emerges. Am I giving too much of myself to my company and my job? Am I giving too much? Am I giving too much? Am I depleting myself too much? And just listen for the answer. Now, there's a lot of cool techniques I'm going to teach you how to do in the program, but I want to at least help you give yourself the chance to intuitively try to do this yourself. Am I expecting too much? Am I burning my team out by setting these really high, lofty goals and pushing really, really hard to a point where they don't believe it's possible anymore and they're feeling it? They're like, oh my gosh, my leader is so out of tune with how long it takes to do this stuff, what it takes for all of us to pull it together. We're working nights, weekends. Now, sometimes you have to do that. I'm not telling you don't. But if you're doing that all day, every day, and that is your normal, you're going to burn your people out and they're going to quit. So I want you just to ask yourself that question and sit with it. Am I expecting too much? Am I depleting my team? And wait for the answer to come to you. And you can say, are you a karmically balanced leader? Now, the odds are you probably aren't, because how the heck do we do that all the time, 24 hours a day, 100% of the time? But you can at least try to get in a more karmically balanced way. So again, that was a little teaser of what I call my 5-step karmic leader method. Get a baseline, set your stage, build your toolkit, lead with love, and tell yourself the truth. So you may be asking yourself, why? Why did I stay till the very end? Why is this content resonating with me? And it might be because you're frustrated that your work is piling up on your plate and you just can't say no. Just not in your words. You don't know how to do it. Or you can't say, I can't get to that right now. Those are not words that you have available to you. Maybe it could be that you're on the verge of letting the stress get the best of you. That might be the place that you're at right now. And in your heart, you know something has to change. Or maybe you've heard all the buzz about this Karmic Leader company and the Karmic Leader program, so you wanted to know, what the heck is this whole thing all about? Or maybe you just wanted to hang out with me. And if so, like, big heart. Thank you so much for doing so. So I do want to say, being a karmically balanced leader rocks. Trust me, I have experienced it myself, and it's awesome to be in balance with the way that you lead and show up in the world. It can transform the way you live. It can also transform your leadership. And if you're still on this call, you have what it takes to crack the code. You're willing to put the time in to figure it out. And for that, I'm very, very proud of you. And I want to tell you, this is something that you can change right now. You can do something about it right now. So I just want to tell you and have you remember, nothing I've shared with you today is theory or fluff or concepts that might work. This is exactly what I have done over the last 5 to 10 years to bring myself back into alignment, to get myself off of that floor of the Denver International Airport and into a place where I am in harmony with what life throws at me. I have plenty of stressful situations that have happened, but I have learned how to handle them with ease. Trust me. And over the last couple of years in particular, I have privately worked with, over 100 people that are trying to figure this out. And we've tested all sorts of different things together, which has helped me to create this program that I'm launching with you all. So it doesn't matter if you're a brand new leader or you're a seasoned vet out on the field, you can just take baby steps to take action right now. So some of the biggest benefits that you're going to get is you're going to wake up ready to start your day. You're going to immediately know what to do if someone on your team is on the verge of burnout. You have the energy to show up for the people that you love, and you know how to trust your own inner knowing. Those things are some very, very powerful things. One key takeaway, I have literally cracked the code and hacked that stressed out leader persona. Like, bye, she's out of here. And it's changed my world and the world of my family and the people that I love. And this is a proven and replicable system that you can apply to your life too. And you can transform yourself and the way that you lead and get yourself into being a karmically balanced leader. So the question is, how can you apply this system to bring your life and leadership back into balance and alignment? So you have a choice. You can do it the slow way through trial and error, like I did. Took me, I would say at least a good 5 years. And you can figure that out, which I did. I genuinely did. Or you can say, hey, thank you, Kara, for doing the hard work. And you're going to do a little more quicker by using the Karmic Leader program. So the Karmic Leader program, it's my complete 5-step Karmic Leader method, and it's designed to take you by the hand and bring you back into alignment. No missing steps, no confusion. And I believe it's the quickest and most effective way to get you from burnt out back to balance. So again, that Karmic Leader 5-step method, it's the most effective way to free you of stress, to give you confidence in your leadership abilities, and to feel aligned in business and in life. So you may want a few more details. What is it exactly? It's a 6-week program that's broken down into 5 modules, an introductory call, and then 5 modules of content. It's 24/7 instant and lifetime access, including all the updates and enhancements I make each time I roll the program out. And it's literally a step-by-step guide. Nothing's left out. And it also allows you to be in community with other leaders who believe that there is also a better way to lead. So you don't have to do it alone. You get to do it with people that are trying to make the world a better place too. So imagine if you could have daily practices that make you feel great. You know how to reduce anxiety when it rears its ugly head, and you can have a happier, healthier family dynamic as well. So I'm introducing what I call the Karmic Leader program. It is consisting of 5 modules. Module 1, get a baseline. Module 2, set your stage. Module 3, build your toolkit. Module 4, lead with love. And Module 5, tell yourself the truth. And I have to tell you that this program has a 100% money back guarantee. So if you do all the things, you finish the 6 weeks and you don't feel better, you can ask for a refund and I'll give you 100% satisfaction guarantee. And I'd like to say, it's not just me that thinks this program is awesome. Don't take it from just me. See that other people have gone through and done these things either collectively or individually and had the ability to really change the way that they show up in the world. So, Cami says, thank you for sharing your magic with me. I can't properly express my gratitude. This experience was game-changing. So I think if you are somebody that's willing to put the work in to figure out how to get the long-term benefits to change your life and transform, I think that you can be just like the people on the screen. So thank you for staying to the end. I do have a bonus resource for you. If you're wondering how out of alignment am I, or you have something you want to do with your team to get the conversation starting about stress and burnout, I encourage you to take the Karmic Leader quiz. It can be found at karmicleader.com/quiz. Again, karmicleader.com/quiz. And you can take the Karmic Leader quiz. I also want to encourage you to check out the Karmic Leader program. It can be found at karmicleader.com/program. We are constantly working through cohorts of leaders. Sometimes we're actively in the time where we're accepting leaders. And sometimes you have to be on a wait list, and we'll announce when our next group of leaders are going to be launched. But you can find out everything you need at that karmicleader.com/program. If you have questions at the end of this webinar and you want to know a little bit more, you can email me at hello@karmicleader.com, or you can find out other things about us at karmicleader.com. Thank you so much and have an awesome day.